When you start talking about policies and procedures, do you have to have any accountability attached to that? I'm not saying that, yes, you follow that, much more accountability from, say, a marketing measurement. Like, okay, great, you said you can go out and do this. Now, did you do it, and what are the results?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and again, it'll be sort of as appropriate. What I err on the side of putting the accountability in the hands of the people that would be in normally. So a tangible example of that would be around what happens if somebody makes a malicious comment on our corporate blog. Very, very typical. You know, your grandfather smells like elderberries, and, you know, and the world is going to come to an end, and our corporate standing is a lie, right? Okay, so they do something like that. What I would do is I would in there put the layers of responsibility in. It's up to the team member. It's up to the team member to work through with his or her manager. If it's if it's a security issue, it goes straight to security. Like really, what you're doing is in one sense, you're passing the buck, but more properly, what you're doing is you're just abiding by what probably the governance system that is already in place. So you don't have to invent the responsibility, the chain of responsibility. Defer to what already exists. And if you're really, really small, that's going to be whoever signs your paycheck is ultimately who that goes to.
I have a question. I ran into this recently where I have to ask the question carefully to veil sort of the layers, but basically, essentially, I tweeted on behalf of an organization, which shall remain nameless. And the organization is very successful, wildly successful, in fact. But one of the people that follows us and that I chose to follow back, great blogger, but recently posted a blog post that could be seen as contrary to this organization's sense of itself. It wasn't personal about the organization, but the alliances and allegiances could have been possibly called into question. And somebody got quite panicky about this and said, you should unfollow that person. And I said, no, this is not how this game is played. And can you give me a really good, sound argument that I can make in that kind of situation for why we don't just unfollow people because they have a conflicting opinion or a strong opinion that might run contrary?
And I think that's a great example of where the guidelines help you, because that, to me, that would be the way I see them. That would be a part of the scope of the guidelines that I would have. Is in that case where you're doing external, it's run through use cases and scenarios. Like what happens if someone leaves a negative post on something we sponsor? What if they graffiti a brand property and start posting on Flickr? What if they leave they're part of, say, a network, like, say, Twitter, and are speaking counter to the message we're trying to deliver. Run through those. And part of, again, that process of engagement, 'cause remember, when you have those guidelines, you already have the buy-in of the people with what would happen. So you're negating that argument after the fact. It's not reactive, you're proactive. You've already sat down with your media relations team, if you have one, and you said, look, there will be the odd negative thing. If it is in this kind of category, it goes to our legal department for copyright or trademark infringement. It goes to our corporate communications or media relations team to follow up with and try and spin the message. Other than that, it's fair game, if that's what you're looking for. So from that lesson, roll that into your guidelines. After the fact, though, I just say, it's about a conversation and building a relationship with our customers or stakeholders, and show me a relationship that has zero conflict. And I'll show you someone who's trying to sell swampland somewhere.
Question for using a second question. Using social media in public organizations. I was talking to people at a conference last year, and they wouldn't even go near a blog because they had a public-facing company had to be worried about disclosure rules, regulations. Are any of your companies that you've been worked with public? And how do you sort of cross that bridge?
Yeah, absolutely. And so for the organization that I work for, corporate disclosure is a huge issue. Probably the biggest issue out of all the others. It's just the real concern over that. So for our particular interest, which it sounds like aligned with the one you're speaking of, that is an area where we have to really retract and be very, very conservative. And that's, there's always compromises, right? So, okay, so we pull back a bit there, so we try and push innovation in other areas. Ultimately, it's your, if you're a public company, it's your board of directors who are then really ultimately responsible, your shareholders. Those are the chunks that you really need to ultimately make sure you're being responsible to. So if they're really freaked out, ask why, find out if there's a valid reason. If yes, respect it. If not, start small, trial. For us, what we did is I met that resistance, so I built up more of an internal program. Those people that are saying no because they're worried about disclosure externally, great, I love that input. Could I get you blogging internally? Well, maybe. And then you get them actually participating with the technology. I find it's about a 1 year time frame to build a mature understanding of how rudimentary social media works. And then once they get that, the excitement is there, and then what's going to happen is when that 12 months is over, they're going to come to you and say, you fool, like why weren't you pushing external, like you're, and you're like, well, I was, but anyway, like you just have to smile and nod and let them think it was their idea, and that's your role. That's what you're there for. Shepherd that change. Anything else? Any completely off topic, unrelated, people might find entertaining? We all got 4 minutes back. Oh, we've got one more.
How do you handle legal?
So legal is obviously involved closely at first. What I personally find is for guideline, this is a good question because this will help us work through guidelines versus policies. Go to legal with the attitude, we are looking to set up a framework so that people can more correctly follow your wonderful policies. Because legal will own the policies. And that's fine, that's their job, that's what they know. Social media warrants guidelines. Because, my personal opinion, we're not reinventing human life here. What we're finding is new combinations of using technologies to do ancient human things. So there's probably already a policy around everything you're talking about. So work with legal and write up a guideline. The guideline will read, hey team member, when you are out on a blog and you see something you want to comment on, make sure you don't imply you're speaking on behalf of the company. The policy, thou shalt never, represent, there's going to be some legalese there that the legal department has written. Make sure the two are in alignment, and that's your icebreaker with legal. Hey guys, great work on the policies. I want to make sure the guidelines I'm putting forward, are essentially saying the same thing.
So actually, just to take that one step further, how do you handle it when legal's policies are draconian and are explicitly against involvement online?
Yeah, legal is ultimately a corporate service, and legal should not be driving things like strategy. So what you would need to do is it'll probably